on, Christian. In the first 2 weeks, they played the best two teams in the AFC.
He doesn't want to be a star among scrubs. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And plus, he showed last.
I think when you look at a really good team, usually there's the reason that the starters are so good is because
All right, thanks for tuning in to Talking Nonsense. I'm Christian Phillips. Alongside me, Jace Armstrong, and we have on call Amari. Our first topic of the day will be college football. This is the first big week. The SEC is back in action for their season openers. The Big 12 opens up their conference play. So let's get into a couple of game picks. Oklahoma and K-State face off in Norman. The Texas Longhorns go up against Texas Tech, and West Virginia and Oklahoma State face off. So these are a few marquee matchups to set up Big 12 conference play. Who are you guys taking in these?
I think for Oklahoma that's an easy win. Obviously K-State took that first week L to Arkansas State. Let me look at the other ones.
I mean, one that stands out to me is Texas and Texas Tech. I mean, fifth-year senior Sam Ellinger.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to see if has the capability of actually leading Texas to a winning season. I mean, he had one 2 years ago when they won the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, but then they had a fallout season, prior to that. So we'll see if they can do something. I mean, right now Oklahoma's still the front runner to win the Big 12. Oklahoma State still has a lot to prove since. Go ahead, Amari.
I don't know. K-State always plays Oklahoma pretty tough, though. At least in the early stages, always too. But I'm gonna go Oklahoma, Texas, and you said West V versus Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Where's
Oklahoma State came out real slow versus Tulsa, and that went off.
Where's that game at?
Huh?
Is it in Stillwater or is it in West Virginia? Because I feel like that's a big part of that game. Oklahoma State usually plays pretty good at home.
Yeah, I believe it's actually in
Stillwater. Did they play in Tulsa last week?
They played Tulsa at home, yeah. That was a close game, though, wasn't it? Or they blow them out?
Tulsa almost beat them. It came down to like a last-second touchdown from Chuba.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chuba Hubbard had to carry a lot of that load because their starting quarterback got hurt. West Virginia put up a lot of points in their season opener, so if Oklahoma State doesn't figure something out on defense or, I mean, most importantly, gets things going on the offensive side, then they'll definitely be out of that game early.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts about Texas, Amari?
I mean, they'll never get back to. I feel like they're just like the University of Miami. Like they might have a good season every now and then, and people think back to when they were just great all the time. But then they come back the next year and just go 500 or something like that. They'll never get back. They're always chasing the old days, and they'll never get back to it.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, when they won the Sugar Bowl and Ellinger said that they were back, like they came out and had a mediocre season the next year. I definitely think.
I'm gonna tell you what's real crazy though. I feel like that season would have went a way different way if they would have made the plays they needed to make versus LSU. Because they left the LSU game was a close game, and it was only because of the momentum LSU was able to build when Texas literally dropped wide open touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Texas, they had an opportunity to get LSU off the field on a 3rd and long and let LSU score a touchdown late in the fourth. So I think if they would have won that game, I don't think LSU's being as dominant that season, and I think Texas probably would have won the Big 12.
And that was early.
Season.
That was early in the season too.
Yeah.
So I mean that was a big momentum swing for both teams, honestly, because that was a big matchup early.
And Texas was playing LSU when they weren't even at full capacity. They had injuries on defense, and they were one of the only teams to compete toe-to-toe with LSU that year.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, but in a week 1 matchup, it's way different. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like Texas' momentum going into the next week and going into the season would have been different.
Definitely.
I still think LSU would have been as good as they were, but Texas definitely could have used that win to propel them into a good season. But like I said, man, they'll have a down year and they'll have a good year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 games this year.
I mean, they got that number 8 ranking in the country right now, and they just put up 59 points against UTEP.
And that's because, like, it's a bunch of, like, Conference USA and other smaller conferences, schools that are ranked right now because nobody's playing. The SEC hasn't played yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and a lot of that's due because, the Pac-12 is still not playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Big Ten just came back. They don't open up their season
until like
until
October.
Yeah,
mid-October, mid to late
like
October.
the 24th or something like that.
Yeah.
But since we're on LSU, how do you guys think their season's going to go? They open up their season in Baton Rouge against Mississippi State, so they're having to replace 14 players.
It's going to be interesting to see because I feel like with a team like LSU, right, with the talent they bring in and year out, it's not hard to duplicate what they did last year, right? Like, as far as, like, putting the people on the field and making plays. But are those guys going to have the same confidence that the team last year had?
Right.
That's the question.
Well, I think I look at a really good team. Usually the reason that the starters are so good is because they got somebody behind them that's working just as hard as the starter to get to their spot.
Right.
So that's competitive in that nature. So you bring up the guys who were behind last year, they still have that competitive mindset, and they know that they could have gotten in at any time to play. So I feel like in the sense of confidence and awareness that they'll have, like going through the year, I don't think they'll take a step back in that. And obviously they're not going to lose talent, for the most part.
I think since they're on a shortened schedule, they only play 10 games, and they don't have 2 non-conference games that the SEC usually plays, like an FCS team. I think they are only going to win 6 or 7 games this season.
Out of their 10?
How many games are they playing?
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
How many games are they playing?
10.
7? Hold on. 7 games, dude. 7 games out of 10, not bad at all. I mean,
no, it's not. But it's not comparable to last season. I think that's a huge drop off for LSU.
How many teams go undefeated every year?
Not many.
Yeah, not like maybe one, sometimes even 0.
How many teams back-to-back undefeated seasons in college football in the last 10 years?
That's true.
Like,
Alabama's probably the closest one.
The closest one, and they still haven't did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clemson is the closest because they, like, regular season, they went 2 undefeated regular seasons back-to-back or something like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
But if you look at LSU's schedule, Mississippi State is not going to be an easy team to open up their season. They got a new coach, Mike Leach, who likes to spread the ball around. And, even last season when Mississippi State was playing a very talented K-State team, they took it to them, throughout the whole game. So
that'll be a good game.
I
would not be surprised. I would put LSU on upset alert this week.
Getting upset?
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, like I said, man, I don't know. I think they lost enough to where if they did have a bad season, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm also saying, like, the dudes that are starting now were also national champions.
Right.
So don't be surprised if they come out and just go. I think the biggest question mark is at the quarterback position for LSU.
Yeah, who do they have?
Everybody else going to play.
Well,
is that quarterback position that's
quarterback position, running back, wide receiver.
Christian, they got 5 stars. Like, those dudes are going to just fill in.
Yeah.
The quarterback position is where that question mark lies, like, because those dudes didn't get to throw the ball last year because of Joe Burrow. The other receivers and running backs, they got touches, they got catches, but this dude did not get to throw the ball because of Joe Burrow.
I think the more that I look at the schedule now here on my phone, they're gonna. I think a 6-7 win season for them would be really good, like you said, because they got Auburn, who's always really good, Bama, A&M's ranked this year, which obviously like doesn't mean anything, but the SEC is always competitive, and I wouldn't put it past anybody to win more than LSU does. You know, I feel like they could drop any game.
I mean, they probably have the hardest 4-game stretch. I mean, they go Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama. I mean, out of those games, they're probably going to win 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's a very talented team coming out of the SEC, and they're my favorite coming out to make the college football playoff ahead of Alabama. But, I mean, who do you have coming out of the SEC?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the SEC much. I'm going to be basic and say Alabama. You know, I feel like after their year last year, I feel like they got something to prove that they're still present.
You said who coming out the SEC?
He said Alabama.
I said Bama.
Oh, I thought you said Georgia. You should have said Georgia.
Nah, they're not talented enough.
Stop, please.
Uh-oh.
I ain't about to argue with you about it. We got the best defense in the nation, son.
That's questionable.
You can look them numbers up.
Hey, you can have the best defense, but that redshirt freshman better lead that offense to outscore a team like Alabama.
Bro, when does a quarterback ever lead Georgia's offense?
What do you mean? Jake Fromm did it. Not consistently.
He did not lead our offense.
Not consistently.
He did not lead our offense. He was a general in our offense. Our offense was led by the running backs. Always.
Georgia
always
does have some good running backs.
Yeah.
Always has been. Always will be, dog.
Always. I don't know. I feel like
and we got and we got one of the best returning receivers in the nation. Let's not forget about him. It's going to be a lot easier for that red shirt quarterback to throw the ball up to one of the best receivers in the nation.
We're going to find out.
We will see.
We'll find out.
Absolutely. So we'll just transition into the NFL. There are a few surprising 0-2 starts, such as the Texans, Broncos, the Eagles, Vikings, and the Falcons. Out of those teams, who do you guys think has the best chance of turning their season around?
Why do you say, hold on, before we get into that, why do you say surprising?
I mean, if you just look at the teams, you see...
Other than the Vikings, why did those other teams surprise you? I
thought surprising... I mean, if you just look at the Texans, you have Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's surprising that when they lost DeAndre Hopkins, you thought that they were going to replace that talent. That's still a surprising 0-2 start. I mean, the Broncos had such...
Hold on, Christian. In the first 2 weeks, they played the best two teams in the AFC.
So that's still more alarming. That's still surprising that they would start 0-2. I mean, a team like the Texans should be 1-1.
The two best teams in the AFC. That's not surprising that they lost. They played the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Absolutely, that's surprising.
How is that surprising? Nobody picked them to win.
What do you mean? They say that if the Texans want to be great and they want to compete with the greats, you just can't automatically expect that they're going to lose just because they so-called lose to the two best teams. Did you have them beating
the Chiefs or the Ravens? Do you think the Texans are better than the Chiefs or the Ravens?
No.
I think they could be better than the...
I said no.
You said no?
Just because they're not better does not mean that their 0-2 start is surprising.
Right now.
I think the issue is they had the two hardest teams in the AFC, but I think they have the most like upside going out of into week 3. They have the biggest upside of like getting better than 0-2.
Absolutely, and I don't take that excuse of it's not surprising just because they played the best two teams.
It's not,
and one, they're not even the best two teams in the NFL.
They are not better than any one of those teams. How are you surprised that they lost when they're not better than those teams?
They're still not. I mean, those two teams that they played are not the best teams in the NFL.
Like surprising is like if the Chiefs were to start 0-2, that would be surprising.
Yeah.
Like,
I see where you're coming from.
It's like a hot take. Like a hot take is something that you don't expect. I expected them to lose both of those games.
You expected it, but not many people expected the Texans to. Because one, it's surprising that they didn't even compete on a high level against both those teams. That's a surprising aspect that they did not compete to a high level.
I don't think you understand. Those teams are like better than everybody by like a lot. Like
no, they're
like
not.
A little bit. Like,
the Chiefs and the Ravens are not the best teams.
Who do you have? Who's the best team then?
Right now?
Yeah.
I think with Michael Thomas, as you saw, was the Saints were the better team. Now, they did drop off on Monday night because Michael Thomas was hurt.
Their defense got torched. Their defense got torched, Christian.
Okay.
And their defense wasn't hurt.
So if you're gonna talk about it that way,
no, the defense got torched. The Saints is not. Look at the Ravens.
Did the Chiefs defense not get torched against a rookie on Sunday?
How many touchdowns did they give up?
Let me look.
Didn't he throw for over 300
How many
yards?
touchdowns did they give up? They gave up 2 touchdowns. You call that torched?
I would say 300
Torched
yards.
early.
I would
Torched
say
early.
300 yards to a rookie is
They
getting
gave up
torched.
2 touchdowns the whole 5 quarters they played. You call that torched?
I think they kept them in the game. They made the adjustment after halftime.
The so-called best team in the NFL.
In 5 quarters of football,
got
they scored
torched
2
by
touchdowns,
Justin
and you call
Herbert.
that torched.
Herbert had 311 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 pick, compared to Mahomes.
He threw a decent amount of yards, but he only scored 1. He threw 1 touchdown. Like, that's not torching anybody.
But I think the reason that the Chargers stayed in that game was because of their defensive line. The Kansas City offensive line had no answer, and Mahomes had 0 time to throw the ball.
That is for sure why the Chargers stayed in that game.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to beat the Chiefs, honestly. But they got tired. That's the reason the Chiefs came back and won. The defensive line, Bosa stayed out like for most of the fourth quarter trying to catch his breath, and the Chiefs were able to find holes in the defense. So, I don't know. Herbert had a good game, though. I'll give him that.
He had an all right game. Could have threw more touchdowns, had more of an impact.
Made some dumb decisions, too.
Yeah. All right. So you asked why the Texans 0-2 start. So let me get back to that. If you look at Deshaun Watson's stats, both weeks he has not produced the way he did last season. Now,
that's not surprising. You don't have DeAndre.
Absolutely, and that's a big hit, and that's why it's so surprising to me.
Why are you surprised by that when he lost to one of the best receivers in the league?
Absolutely. And so it's surprising to me that the Texans have struggled so much by losing one player on their offense.
I see what you're saying.
You're telling me their production dropped off significantly because of one player.
But okay, all right. See, this what I'm saying. Like, if we're gonna have these type of talks, you got to go do your homework. Go look at what he was for that offense. Like even before Deshaun Watson got there.
Oh, I understand. He was that offense. He was that offense. But you're
exactly. So how are you surprised in this drop off when he, like you said, he was the offense?
But just like there's a lot of talk, you can't rely. Football is there's 11 people on that field. You're telling me that one person was responsible for holding that team together.
Bro, literally, all right.
They have absolutely no identity this season.
I'm gonna tell you how football
offense.
works, right? When you got a player like that, right? When you got a player like that, if he's not getting the ball, he's getting attention. And when he gets attention, other people can get the ball.
Yeah.
So you take that attention that he was getting in the offense away, it's hard to do other stuff.
Absolutely, and I took that into consideration. And
so
when I took that into consideration, I thought about this. If you watch them play against Kansas City, they didn't try whatsoever to develop anybody else as wide receiver. Nobody. It seemed like nobody wanted to stand out. I mean, Will Fuller has that. I think the capability of being that go-to guy.
Will Fuller was a great number 1 receiver.
He has to be.
Like
now.
I said, the attention was on DeAndre Hopkins, so Will Fuller was able to get behind defenses because people weren't looking at him for real. He would get single coverage, and he would take the top off.
Absolutely, and that's why I think this upcoming week, I expect them to, in their next game, to go vertical a lot more because they weren't doing that.
You know what I'm surprised in? Well, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised because the Texans owner is kind of they kind of do stuff, questionable stuff, right? How are you gonna pay this man all this money and not help him out?
I mean, if you look at their wide receiver core, they don't have bad wide receivers. They have Brandon Cooks, who's not bad, Will Fuller, who has been the standout so far.
They don't have number 1 receiver though.
No, but they got Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills. I mean, those dudes can be weapons.
Yeah, and that's my thing. They're not utilizing any of them.
Like, the thing is with all those receivers, like, they need a true number 1 for them to get off.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think right now, Kenny Stills or Cooks has the capability.
Yeah, they're just not doing it. Yeah.
No. No.
Who do you have? Fuller?
Huh?
Who do you think?
I don't think none of those guys are true number one receivers. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking any credit from them. I think all those guys can play the position pretty well. But like a true number one receiver, like, it's just hard to find.
Yeah.
And when you pay a quarterback all that money, you gotta have him a true number one receiver.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, they paid Deshaun Watson a whole bunch of money, but don't surround him with talent. I mean, the Cleveland Browns were able to do that.
Yeah.
They were able to get Jarvis Landry and
exactly, bro.
and Odell Beckham, but you can't give Deshaun Watson anything.
Deshaun Watson what Baker Mayfield has right now, he wins the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, lights out.
He would, like, if you give him two running backs that can average 5-6 yards a carry and two good receivers and a good tight end, bro, he wins the Super Bowl this year.
But wasn't it coming down to Hopkins left because of a coaching issue, right? It wasn't anything.
They traded him.
I think it was a coaching issue. I think that Bill O'Brien and Hopkins. I think they butted heads.
They didn't want him.
They didn't want to pay him.
Oh.
He was about to get a big payday, just like the Cardinals paid him.
Right.
He was supposed to get a big payday in Houston, and they knew it was coming up, so they traded him.
That was stupid.
Yeah, and then they accepted the worst trade ever. That
comes down to an organizational level, though. That's not even coaching.
And they made a questionable decision.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even try in the offseason to trade for a wide receiver, nothing. There was absolutely no effort.
Like, I believe those guys can probably get open if Deshaun Watson had a little bit more time. Like, Laramie Tunsil is the best lineman, and he leads the NFL in penalties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not good.
Yeah. A team like Texans, I didn't expect them to go 0-2. I thought they were going to come out of the season 1-1, at least sneak one. I thought they were going to sneak one against the Chiefs, coming off that Super Bowl win. I thought they were going to do it.
I understand why you're surprised, but I'm going to tell you, like, I'm not surprised just because of the teams they played, and then what they still have in that locker room.
Absolutely.
It has not. Needle has not moved at all in that locker room, other than Deshaun Watson getting paid. And he can't, like, he's a good quarterback, but he can't not do it by himself.
So let's move on. What about the Broncos? You guys think that's surprising? 0-2 start?
Not really.
No.
I think
always.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's my team right there, but I think it's surprising because they had all of this hype during the offseason. Oh, Drew Lock, he's the next best thing. They're comparing him to the capabilities of Patrick Mahomes.
Didn't he get hurt week 2?
Say that again?
Didn't he get hurt last week?
Yeah. Shoulder injury.
That hurts. I don't see him. I mean, they got the Bucs next week. I mean, probably the only game they win in the next 3 is against the Jets.
If
they might not win.
Yeah.
That's their best chance.
Roger.
But I mean, they got receivers.
Well,
two good running backs.
I think their problem is the Broncos. It seems like they have no offensive plan week in and week out.
Yeah.
What about you, Amari?
What'd you say, Christian?
What are your thoughts about the Broncos?
I don't think they're gonna beat the Jets. They're hurt. Like, isn't Von Miller out?
Yeah.
All right, defense confidence down. Your starting quarterback out. Offense confidence down. I think the Broncos are about to start sinking.
Do you think they'll get to 0-6?
Sutton is out too.
Who else they got in that in the first 6 weeks?
The Bucs. After the 2 games we've already played, they got the Bucs next week, the Jets, the Patriots, and then the Dolphins.
So they'll probably escape.
The Dolphins. That's gonna be a turd bowl.
Yeah. So they out of those, they'll probably escape with 2 wins.
Maybe.
I think if the Dolphins can put up points, the final score will be 21-17 Dolphins. If they can't, the final score will be 14-3 Broncos.
Fitzmagic. I got faith in Fitzmagic.
I think Tua will be starting by then.
You think? You think he's gonna be in there
By week 6? If how Ryan Fitzpatrick playing? Yeah.
You say Tua?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think if they lose tonight, then that will definitely be on the table.
How has he been playing though? Fitz.
Who?
Not bad. Fitzpatrick.
He hasn't been moving the needle though. Like they're still on 2, right?
Yeah, they're still on 2.
So and like as a young head coach, how many games do you lose before you say, let me put this first round pick in?
Right.
Like it's like it's like Washington last year. Washington lost a couple games, and next thing you know, it went from Dwayne Haskins sitting behind this year to Dwayne Haskins starting quarterback.
Right.
And they rather lose with the young guy than lose with the old guy.
When do you give Tua the green light? I mean, you have to take into consideration that hip injury that he suffered.
I mean, if he went through camp healthy, I'm not really considering it. Like, I'm putting him out there to see if he can hold up.
Yeah, but if he gets hurt, then that's detrimental to the rest of the season too.
But that's like saying if he gets hurt now versus if he gets hurt later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
like, if he gets hurt now, at least you know how much time you got. You can get him recovered for next year. If he get hurt late in the season, he might end up missing half of next season.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the owner, I would think about next season. I mean, just play the season out. If Fitzpatrick can carry the season, then that's fine. Tank the season and then give Tua more weapons in the draft. I mean, that's what I would do, because if you think about it, the Dolphins have no chance to compete in that division. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl. They're not going to make the wild card. So
not yet.
But hold on, in that division? Oh, you're talking about that in the AFC?
The Dolphins?
Who's in the Dolphins division? The Jets, the Jets, the Patriots, and who else?
The Buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, Buffalo's pretty good.
Yeah.
Ain't no chance.
I mean, there's no way they're beating the Patriots. I mean, they may be.
Oh no, but this is the thing though. Like, what if Tua come in and then he beat Buffalo? He beat Buffalo once and beat the Patriots once and beat the other teams twice.
They're sitting pretty good then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do they? I don't know what does Miami have defensively though. Are they pretty good on defense?
No,
really.
They're pretty porous on defense.
Not really.
Yeah.
But my thing was, you were saying about like the owner looking to next year, right? Bro, they got a young black head coach. They don't get that. We don't like those guys don't get that long to turn stuff around.
Right. Try to prove it.
If he was thinking, I would put Tua in and try to save face. Like we might not be going to the playoffs. We might not have a winning record, but we got something going for ourselves, and we can improve on that, and I can build on that.
Yeah, well, and that gives them optimism going into the next year too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
if send them the whole season for next year ain't gonna help Flores keep his job at all.
I'm gonna take a hot take here. Honestly, I'm with you now. Start Tua, because as you're looking at, the Bills played the 2 worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're not as good as what we're seeing.
The Bills?
Yeah, we'll see when they get to mid-season if they can compete with the
I'm gonna tell you why
teams.
the Bills. I'm gonna tell you why the Bills good, Christian, and I know they're good. I don't care who they played the first 2 weeks, because they got a defense.
Oh yeah, that defense
they
is
got a
insane.
Good defense. That a good defense gonna always have you in the running.
We're gonna find out in the next 3 weeks. The Bills got the Rams, the Raiders, and the Titans.
If they escape those 3 games undefeated, then I'll be on board.
I want to say something about the Rams
being good, but right now I don't. I'm not carrying the hype that the Bills are good. Now I think their only challenge is probably the Patriots.
You don't think the Chiefs
in that division?
Chris, I got something for you though.
Well,
just think about this. Say you don't think the Bills are good, right?
I think they're good. I just don't think they're hyped up. I need to see them play a little bit more. I mean, they only play the Jets and the Dolphins.
Years.
They've been working up.
Oh yeah.
Like their defense has literally got them in the playoffs the last 2 or 3 years, and their offense is getting better every year.
Yeah, and I give full credit to
It's hard to discredit
Josh
that.
Allen. He has been playing lights out.
Even when Tyrod, they made the playoffs with Tyrod.
Yeah, they made it with Tyrod Taylor.
Like their defense is good as always, and their offense is getting better. Like that's what I'm putting my faith in them.
Yeah, just considering that the AFC
Yeah.
East, I think they could probably, if they play Tua and if he performs. Obviously, this is all hypotheticals, but I mean they could finish second or third.
Who's next? Falcons?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Falcons.
Only reason I'm surprised they're 0-2 is because they had a 20-point lead on Sunday, and they should have walked out of Dallas, or they should have walked out of wherever they were.
Yeah, it was
1-1.
Yeah.
They should have walked out of Dallas 1-1 out of Arlington.
I think the onside kick is what did it for me. Like you can tell a lot by a team when they're up by a lot and down by a lot. Like
The minimal effort to recover it.
Yeah, like the ball wasn't even kicked hard. It was just spinning, and obviously Dallas wanted it more.
Absolutely, and let me tell you, the Falcons' issues are not on offense. They probably have one of the best offenses in the NFL in the first 2 weeks. It's the defense. Flat out, it's the defense.
No, their defense sucks. And don't get me wrong, the play calling on offense is questionable at times.
Is
Yeah.
it the same
they got
story?
so much talent on offense
Yeah.
that it don't matter.
I mean, it's basically the same narrative. I mean, they can't close out games whatsoever.
They put up.
No, that's a better way to say it. They cannot close.
What does that say about Dak? I know I had some. I'm kind of a Cowboys fan. My dad likes the Cowboys.
You say what does that say about Dak?
Yeah, he had.
It's the thing about Dak for me. Like, he threw a bunch of yards while he was down. It's just like last year. He was down. He threw a bunch of yards. He only threw one touchdown Sunday.
Yeah.
Do you think he only threw a bunch of yards because the Falcons went into prevent?
Yeah, he threw a bunch of yards because he was like, that's what they started playing. They started playing some soft zone and gave Dak time to throw.
So how do you take that? I mean, is this because Dak is good, or is it because he was just taking what they were giving him?
He was taking what they were giving him. I feel like you could put any one of the 32 starting quarterbacks in Dak's position, and they would have threw for that many yards.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say it like that.
Except for Kirk Cousins.
And if you watch a couple of the highlights
And
from that
that's
game,
I'm talking about you give them Dak's receivers and the same coverage that the Falcons are playing, the same defense, and they do the same thing.
I think one of the
Even Kirk
positives
Cousins.
that you get from this is, he was taking what the Falcons defense was giving him, but the wide receivers were making plays after the catch.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
But
a huge
the thing,
benefit.
he had some dogs at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He should have threw way more than one touchdown.
Yeah.
And he had like 3 1-yard touchdown runs. Well, Zeke could have got that for you.
Yeah.
All right, so last one. What about the Vikings?
The Vikings, I'm very surprised in their start.
Their Sunday
but-
performance was probably the worst performance in years that the Vikings have had.
Who'd they play?
Oh no,
The Colts.
but
They got it was 28-11. Kirk Cousins went 11 for 26, 113,
3 picks.
and 3 picks.
Wow. I'm not surprised. I don't think Kirk Cousins is that good.
Yeah, and let me tell you this: a big takeaway from this, their best tight end, Kevin Rudolph, had 1 or 2 targets for no yards.
Probably.
Their best target at tight end can't perform. I mean, that's just the biggest takeaway. I mean, Jefferson from LSU, the rookie that they drafted, he led receptions with 44 yards. I mean, that's just not – you're not going to win games like that.
And they got Adam Thielen. I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty good.
but the Vikings
got
gave up a
Diggs.
lot in the offseason on offense and defense. So I'm not surprised at all.
I just don't think they have the right quarterback to do what they want to do.
I don't know. I like Kirk Cousins. I mean, I think he can throw the ball. But
Kirk Cousins is so iffy, bro.
he is. He's probably one of the most up and down quarterbacks in the league. I mean, one week he'll go 11 for 26, for 100 yards, but then the next he'll go out there throw 20, receptions.
Yeah.
To his wide receivers and get like 400 yards. So there's no consistency. So I mean, if you're the franchise, where do you go from here with Kirk Cousins?
I mean, I think this is his last year on contract, right? I think they let him walk. He hasn't did anything for you. You paid him $84 million guaranteed. Let him walk.
Especially if he didn't prove himself. And the
the crazy thing was last year he showed like moments where he was just like that dude. He was working.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't have a bad year, a good year, then a bad year, and you have a bad year on your last year of contract and think like we finna have you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's definitely quarterbacks out there that are more qualified to be there.
I mean, yeah, I honestly think that obviously this probably won't happen, but Andrew Luck should come out of retirement, take over at Minnesota. I think that would be a perfect fit. I don't know about you guys, but
I mean, if he did it, that would be crazy.
Andrew Luck.
I think
he's done.
I think he does.
Yeah. With all those neck injuries.
Yeah, I think he should just not think about coming out of retirement.
Well, I'm holding on to some hope. It's a lot of talent just gone.
Yeah.
So after week 2, who do you guys have for front runner of MVP?
It's hard to say right now. I don't think Mahomes has proved himself yet. Like, he's still playing well, but he's not playing up to MVP caliber. I think Kyler Murray's been playing really well.
Can I three?
Go ahead.
I'll give a top 3 after you're done.
Top 3?
Jace?
I mean, I think Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are my top 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
I got Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Cam. I don't care what order you put them in, but all 3 of them are playing, like, doing what they have to do and looking like the best players in the league. Oh, and I can't forget my man. Like, Lamar Jackson, I know he's returning MVP, but he's in MVP form right now.
I think he will be for a while, too. I don't see him slowing down.
So,
like, he's in MVP shape right now. But I think him winning MVP last year just has people like they're not as shocked as they were last year when he was doing what he's doing.
Right.
So my top 3, mine would actually be Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and then I actually have Aaron Rodgers in that 3rd spot. He's been playing surprisingly well with the limited weapons he has. I mean, this past week he threw for 364 for 400 or for 4 TDs. So
he's always been like that, though. I feel like he's never had anybody that he can throw to.
He threw for 4 TDs in week 1. 240 and 2 TDs in week 2 isn't bad by any means, but
yeah,
compared to his week 1 effort.
Yeah, I don't. Aaron Rodgers is slept on, in my opinion. He's also played 2 of the weaker defenses in the league his first 2 weeks. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
in the Vikings in Detroit.
And the Vikings put up a good fight against the Packers too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was it seemed like everybody was giving up on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, especially when he got hurt.
He was just getting old.
Yeah, I mean, they drafted that quarterback out of Utah State. I can't remember his last name or his first name.
Love.
But his
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. Yeah. I mean, when do you guys expect him to take over?
Not this year.
I don't think he's anytime soon. I'm a bet that, and call me crazy, he's going to be a backup most of his career in the NFL.
Jordan Love. I mean, I remember watching his draft tapes, and all these analysts were like, "Oh, he's comparable to Patrick Mahomes," and we hadn't even seen him play in
the
NFL yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's.
He's real similar in complexion, but in play, negative.
Yeah. So, I mean, what about Drew Brees? Drew Brees, I don't know if you guys watched the Monday night game against the Raiders, but it seemed like the absence of Michael Thomas kind of took a huge hit away from the Saints'
Definitely.
offensive identity. Do you guys think it's time for the franchise to give the green light to Jameis Winston?
No,
Not yet.
negative.
If anything, it needs to go to Taysom Hill before Jameis Winston.
Taysom, no.
That. Hey, I mean,
No,
hey, give him
Taysom Hill
credit.
is not an every down
I understand
quarterback.
it. Taysom Hill is probably he is the Swiss Army knife of the
No, he's a
Saints
Swiss
team.
Army knife for sure.
He-
but he is
he
not
could
an
do-
every down quarterback in the NFL.
Oh,
He's a
absolutely not.
tank-
I think they could utilize him a lot more.
Yeah, I don't think they use him enough.
I'll put him back there at least 10 snaps a game, but not 40 to 60.
If I
No.
if I want to take somebody down the field and put together a game-winning drive, I want Winston over Taysom Hill, not Drew Brees.
I was about to say.
No.
Yeah, no,
You gave me a little hard
no.
attack.
I think if
Setting him up for a pick.
Drew got hurt this year, I think Jameis would shock a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day, and
If he can swing it around.
yeah,
Sure.
I really never liked Jameis Winston because I thought he, turned the ball over a little bit, too much. But
Which he did.
if you think about it, when he left the Bucks, he didn't sign for a team, sign with a team for a long time. What do you think his mentality was? I mean, do you think he just wanted to sit behind a quarterback for a year? Or was he looking at the big picture and looking to take over?
I think he wanted to be in the best position to get a ring this year. Like for him, like Kansas City probably didn't want him as a backup. Who else in the running? Baltimore already has a backup that's like their number one quarterback, so they don't have to change too much when the backup comes in. Like all the other contenders has backups.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Jameis was like, all right, the Saints need a true backup. Their backup just signed the deal. He's going to be a starter somewhere else. So it's time. I can come in and do what Teddy did for him last year, like be the just in case guy.
And Teddy did good. He filled that position well.
He won 5 games.
Yeah, I think the Saints offense has the tools where somebody in Jameis Winston's position and Teddy Bridgewater's position can do well. If he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Jameis seen that and he ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why he signed for 1 year with the Saints.
Where's he going to go next year? Where do you think
I
he...
think if it comes down to it, I think he's going to stick with the Saints.
Yeah, I think he's going to re-sign with the Saints.
I think it's the same position that Cam Newton was in, signed a 1-year deal. They're wanting to see, what's ahead of, 2021. I think him and Cam Newton are going to sign with the teams that they're on now. Because there's no reason to shop somewhere else. Because other than rookies coming in, it's pretty scarce.
For Jameis, I feel like it's a way different situation than Cam. Obviously, Cam has an offense catered to him right now, so why would you leave? You got the best head coach in all of football, and he's catering his offense to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go back too much.
I mean, I wasn't set on the Patriots or too convinced that the Patriots were going to sign Cam Newton after this season, only because I thought this was like a trial run. I mean, we saw that their offense kind of worked the first 2 weeks. Obviously, it still needs a little bit of help because it's predictable.
It's just like the Texans.
Yeah,
They need a true number receiver.
absolutely.
But what Cam is benefiting from that Brady didn't have last year, Cam has a healthy O-line.
And Cam can run.
The
Brady's
Patriots,
O-line was beat up last year.
the Patriots should be 2-0 right now.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have lost
Let's
that
not
game.
even. I mean, if you guys want to talk about that horrible play call, with inside the 5, it was predictable. Everybody, if you watch football even for 2 seconds, you knew what was coming.
Yeah. But it worked.
For sure, that was a terrible play call.
Yeah. I mean, it worked, and I understand the play call to an extent, but at the same time, you have to think about what the defense is going to do. They're like, well, Cam Newton's probably going to go power left or right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've been doing all season so far. And Amari, you made a comment earlier this week that they should have done like a jump pass, snuck a wide receiver to the back of the end zone.
And that works every time.
They should have faked the power and threw it to the back of the end zone. It wouldn't have been a hard play at all. But like, I also understand like the moment you got a timeout, you just trying to run this play and win a game, and you went to what you knew worked it worked in week 1 and it worked early in this game.
Yeah, and let's not, jump to conclusions so quick. I mean, the play call was kind of bad, and it would have worked, but the running back did get blown up rather quickly during that play. So
the left tackle got blown up.
Yeah, nobody executed their assignments during that play.
Didn't really execute either.
Yeah, and that's why the jump pass would have worked, successfully, because it obviously showed that the defense was committing to run.
But what about the irony of the Seahawks in the Super Bowl not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch and throwing a pick, and the Patriots being in a pretty similar situation and they run the ball and get blown up?
It just shows how good of a rivalry those two teams are.
But
yeah.
If the Patriots had more time, if the Patriots had like 12 seconds, or if they would have had like a timeout, they would have won that game.
Yeah.
It was just like I said, it was the adrenaline was rushing. They had no timeout, so that's what you get when you have that.
I will be a little critical on this. The Patriots did have a timeout when they got down closer to the red zone, and they opted not to call the timeout, and they did a quick snap, and it wasted about 10 seconds.
With like 30 seconds
So you were
left.
thinking once they got down into Seahawks territory, they were going to call a quick one to save time. So clock management was a little iffy towards the end of the game.
But they got to the goal line too. It worked, but if they wouldn't have done that, they would have had more time.
If they would have called that timeout, they would have had 2 plays.
Yeah.
With inside the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's tough. I feel like they should have spiked instead of running that play. Because it was like 5 seconds left when they snapped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll go to the last topic of the day. Who do you guys have tonight, the Dolphins or the Jags for the Potty Bowl?
Yeah. I got the Jags.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That's
the Jags, young guys like
Garner what is it, Minshew?
Against all odds, the Jags are like looking good at 1-1 right now.
Yeah, Minshew's playing really well.
They really got rid of their whole. They got rid of all veterans pretty much.
And I think that was like the biggest downfall for the Jags too.
I think that they're going tonight. The Jags are going to try and find their leader at running back against this Miami team.
Who do they have? I mean, who is their running back?
That rookie running back has been good through 2 weeks.
Are you talking about James? I think it's James Robinson.
Number 30.
I think so.
He's been looking good through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, Robinson.
Number 30, yeah, James Robinson.
I think Gardner Minshew about to carve him up, though.
Yeah, Miami just doesn't have weapons either.
Yeah, I mean they haven't really been putting together key pieces, and that's why I said earlier in the show that they should just tank their season for higher draft picks and give Tua weapons because they have nobody.
Yeah, and Fitzpatrick's coming up on his last straw too. I mean, he's been in the league for a while. I think it's time for him to go. I got Tua. Tua's going to lead him. But Minshew tonight.
Fitzpatrick will lead him to, 5 wins, and then Tua will lead him to 6 once he comes in?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what the draft does.
Yeah. All right, do you guys have any more comments?
No, just ready for Amari to be back so he can do the intro so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Hey, and Christian, it's wild like I'm still beating your arguments from across the country.
Nah, I held my ground today. I think I won today.
You did not. You sounded stupid.
Yeah, Amari's in Florida, by the way.
Was it the Texans? Was it the Texans take?
Definitely.
Yes, that was
All
very
right.
that was very.
To
That
be
was definitely
fair,
what it
I
was.
think we were on two different pages. I don't know if you were understanding what I was saying, but obviously the Texans 0-2 start was surprising. But it's okay that you're wrong.
Jace,
Oh.
when we end this recording, can you please tell him he lost the argument?
All right.
It's on the record now, so everybody knows.
All things considered, you lost that argument.
We're gonna find out.
All right.
But-
So we're just gonna wrap it up there. Thanks for tuning in to Talkin' Nonsense.
Peace.
We out.